In chemistry, we struggle with two things that the particles we're trying to count are very, very small, like atoms are really small. The other issue we face here in chemistry is that the particles that we're counting are so many. So, the best way to think of this is by taking an example. Now, let's say you have this jar of marbles, and someone asks you to count these marbles as soon as possible, like within 10 seconds, and yet you cannot count individual marbles. The only thing you've been given here is like a balance. So, how are you supposed to count these marbles? Now, most people would think of it that way. You take an individual marble, let's say that it's 5 grams, and you measure the mass of the entire jar of marble, ignoring the actual jar. You can actually work out the number of marbles simply by dividing the total mass by the individual mass of marble. And that's exactly how you would find the number of particles in chemistry. Like in my case here, automatically you realize that you have 100 grams of marbles. In chemistry, we do something similar. We take the mass of the entire quantity, we divide this by what we call the molecular mass, and you get the number of moles. Now, I'll tell you in a moment what a mole is, but again, that's the best way and the easiest way we count particles in this subject. Let's try something. If I take this specific pile of carbon and I want to count the number of carbon atoms inside this pile, so I will weigh a specific mass of carbon. I'll weigh exactly 12 grams of this carbon. You may ask me, like, why are you weighing exactly 12 grams of carbon? I'm weighing 12 grams of carbon because carbon's atomic mass in the periodic table is actually 12. So now, if you apply that formula I just showed you a couple of minutes ago, if I apply the mass weight on the balance is 12, and the atomic mass at the periodic table is also 12. Now, 12 over 12 is 1 mole of carbon. And basically, I've counted the number of atoms of carbon in this pile because 1 mole of any particle, regardless of what the identity of the particle, 1 mole is always equivalent to 6 times 10 to the power 23. That's what I call the Avogadro's constant after the scientists who first discovered this count. And again, you can apply this to any element of your choice. So for instance, if I was measuring 24 grams of magnesium, that would also be 1 mole. So this makes it very easy for us to count any type of particles by weighing the mass of these particles.